This is a Pod Dealers Network podcast.
What is TWS podcast, episode, whatever, who cares at this point?
Bar. The rant of the vindicated. It's my podcast and I do what I want to.
People, listen.
Word, is it still live?
It's not working for me, Rich. We're going to keep going. I know I changed my voice at work.
Bars on the radio.
What is TWS podcast?
Ready.
I feel like the end is
Staring
staring
at my watch and I'm feeling so new school.
suicide attempts. How many tries to take? They ain't ready.
It's a bad time to be an MC if you ain't rhyming right. I spit that China white, nigga, call it Hong Kong. Hit the city to see one of my schoolmates. Making six figures, but she still got a roommate. Just to have a downtown apartment and some outfits. And you asking why I never leave the South? Shit. Take some time to dream. Peace of mind's a delightful thing. This is the life of kings.
And we got it.
Yes, sir.
I'm a king. Yeah. Welcome to another episode of the What is TWS podcast. As always, I'm your boy J. Flam, representing the White Pants Society. And I must start by thanking you first and foremost for taking whatever time out of your day to come chill with me, listen to my random ramblings, whatever it is I do here. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and I do greatly appreciate that. For this episode, I am getting back to the Plugs I Met series. So I got another special guest with me today. This is a dude that, at least for me, is famous for being a king and making sure that the people around him see themselves as such. So we're going to get into that in a minute. But first, I got to do the Chef Elise report.
Out of Pepe.
Yes, sir, I am. Chef Elise is still in Maryland, visiting family, so not a whole lot to report. I think she's actually hanging out with my mom today, which is a really big deal for me. My mom hasn't probably seen her in person in like 5 years. I wish I could be there with her so she could see that, like, that's my mommy the same way I'm her dad. But circumstances didn't allow that to happen, so, it is what it is. But shouts to her mom for facilitating the meetup. I know it's not her responsibility to make sure that my daughter knows my people, but I do appreciate her for taking on that responsibility in my absence. I think that's a pretty dope favor she pulled off for me, so I appreciate that. Again, not a whole lot to report with Elise because she's not here, but I do have this one thing, and it might be pertinent to my guest. But I messed up, and before she took the trip, I didn't get a hair appointment booked in time. And my guest today, he knows all about, how bad I am at making these appointments, for myself. And women's hair appointments is a whole different animal. Salons get booked up weeks in advance. We talking about a couple hour type thing. And so I'm gonna have to work on my planning for this stuff. I'm new to it. I'm trying to help out and be involved in the hair thing, but it's a whole different world to me. I do have an appointment set for her when she gets back in town, though, and I need y'all to pray for me that it goes better this time than the last one did. Again, I went on the site. I picked the style that I wanted based on what I could afford. And fingers crossed they don't call an audible this time, and I show up and, everything is what it is, and I pay what I expect to pay, but you never know. Rest assured, y'all be the first to hear about it, whatever way it goes. But y'all pray for me, and I hope everything goes the way I plan. Please, Lord, work with me on this one. But but that's really all I got for the Chef Elise report today.
Out of Pepe.
Yes, sir. I'm proud to be. But getting to my special guest today, this is a major one for me. I met this dude. I think we met first on Good Pods. He commented on one of my episodes, and it was one of those comments for me that, like I tell y'all on a weekly basis, I flirt with the idea of, like, not doing this anymore. It's a grind. Sometimes, coming up with inspiration and ideas is a struggle. Making the time to sit down and do this, edit it, promote it, and then you're not always seeing the returns that you expect. So it's usually, a weekly thing for me trying to figure out if I'm gonna keep going. And I know that, that first particular comment was definitely during one of those times where I was contemplating quitting. But that gave me that, somebody's listening, because it was a comment where they clearly had listened to the episode, was giving feedback on it, and it was, super positive. It's a very positive dude. So, it kept me going for that week. But since then, this guy has moved on to introduce me to several other good people. We got a brotherhood going on, the Justice League. Uh, I've been a guest on his show a few times, and he does have the distinction of being the only podcaster so far that has apologized for calling me Carlton. you know, uh, it's cool. I'm good with that. I've been called worse. I think I was just on the show with him the other day, and somebody called me a thought. So, and I ain't got no apology for that. So, I'll take Carlton. Um, but the gentleman I'm talking about is is one of the hosts of the Thing About Us podcast, and a good friend of mine. I got the homie Willie with me in the building. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, what's going on, King? How you doing?
Right, I'm maintaining. Willie or Will? Which one do you prefer?
Willie, but if you want, if Will feels good to you, I'm good with it.
Nah, I'm gonna call people what they want to be called. Cause one of these days people gonna stop calling me Carlton. So I'm gonna, I'm saying I'm gonna take them steps first. Man, so I call this series "The Plugs I Met," and sorry to take up some of the time, Willie, but I have to do this every time because people will listen to these shows and then immediately be like, why haven't I been invited? I'm not. Why can't I be on the Plugs I Met? But the Plugs I Met is a series for people that have inspired me, have helped me expand my network, and carry themselves and do business in a way that I think that needs to be highlighted. So just because we cool, don't make you a plug. It is what it is. No diss, but I wanna shed light on the things that I think I would like to see represented more, rather than complain about the things that I see out there that I don't want to see. So let me be the change in the world that I want to see.
Right.
But yeah, you, sir, definitely fit that description. The way you talk to people and support folks, in my eyes, is rare these days. You don't see it a lot. And I want to start with the whole king thing, right? So I remember seeing it in the comment that you posted on my episode, and to be honest with you, for a minute, it was like, oh hell, here come one of them woke hotel
Right.
people.
And you was right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if you consider yourself woke or anything like that, but you don't carry yourself in a manner that usually like elicits that kind of negative response from me. It feels sincere, coming from you, from a lot of people who move in that space. It's kind of like they call themselves woke, in opposition to you being asleep, and that
Right.
doesn't seem to be like the way you carrying it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're looking for information and you're trying to get closer to the truth, and you'll bring anybody that wants to come along with you. But whether or not people agree or think the same as you still want them to walk with respect, and you give them that respect so they can feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to ask you, like, for you, where did the whole king thing come from, and then and why is it important for you to kind of address people in that manner?
Honestly, man, I think it really kind of started when me and my wife Fiona, when we were starting to record in the beginning, and we did a couple drive runs. And I was like, man, saying the N word and the B word, it didn't feel right for what we was doing.
Yeah.
The brand that we we trying to do is about relationships. How to communicate, how to flow together, how to respect each other. So I felt like a better word to use to show my respect or endearment to a brother is to call him a king. And I also feel like for a woman, you're a queen.
Yeah.
I don't, I never understood why some women will refer to themselves as a bad beat, or
Yeah.
I am that beat, which is cool. That's fine. But I also want you to know that you're a queen in somebody's eyes.
And I like that. Again, like, like, for the reason I'm doing this series is, it's like you never push it's something wrong with what you doing. Is This is the way I choose to do it. And I can be around you and you speak the way you speak. I'm not going to judge you for it, but it's not going to change the way I speak. I'm still going to approach you with this same energy. That's the energy that I want to put out like you said, like being the change that you want to see, and not necessarily, trying to be in opposition to anything or trying to judge anything. Just, if you in the midst of darkness, be the light. That's one of my
Right.
slogans here. I got shirts in the merch store if anybody was looking for them. I got the Be the Light shirts. You should cop yourself one. But you mentioned Fee. You do a show with your wife. Number one in the relationship category on Good Pods. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Good work.
Thank you.
When you got into podcasting, was it always the plan for you guys to do a show together? And how has that worked in your relationship? Because I tried it.
No, it excuse me. No, originally it was supposed to be my nephew, which me and him did an episode called Tabernacle.
Okay.
And we acted a fool, of course. But it's it's the same thing you was going through. Schedules wasn't jiving, and then it ended up being I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. So I was like, all right, bad. So I got with the wife, and it's like, hey, look, I got an open spot on the bench. You ready to play or not? What's up? You know what I mean? So, and then we kind of figured out what we wanted to talk about was relationships, because it's an everyday thing. When you married, it's an everyday job.
Oh yeah.
So I told her, I was like, we're always gonna have material content because we have something every day. And then of course you add in, work life, and then you add in, your social life. It makes it easier for the content for us.
How has that worked in you guys' relationship? Because I tried it. I don't know if you've gone way back in my catalog, but there was a time before I did the Plugs I Met series. There was a time I was doing I called it an evening with the Flans, and it'd be, my wife and I, and we sit down and we talk, and I don't know, like some people have gone back and heard some of them episodes, and it's almost cringeworthy at this point. Like the relationship I had with my ex-wife now, and probably the reason why she's my ex-wife, I was, I didn't have a filter, and I just said, whatever it is I felt like saying. And some of them things are things you can say when it's just the two of you, but then when it becomes like a public thing, it's something different. It hits a little different. I had somebody hit me the other day, listen to one of the old episodes, and they were talking about that time when you said you was gonna beat your wife's monkey ass, and I was like, oh shit, like I said that, like I had to try to go back and remember the context. I was talking about fantasy football. I wasn't talking about anything else. We was in a league together, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna whoop your monkey ass this week. But yeah, it's like little stuff like that like, saying that in the privacy of our home was something different, and then when outsiders hear it, it can hit a little different. Like, how has things worked as far as you guys doing the show together and having that kind of dialogue, in a private/public space?
Well, I know first off, we don't share everything.
Yeah.
Because you got to keep something for yourself, and some things it's just private. But if it's something that I think that's like really not subject worthy, but if it's something that I feel like someone else may be going through, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to pull this, because we need to dive into this a little bit further. But excuse me, but we actually talk about the stuff before.
Okay.
Our things have already been settled, in merge talk. Now, excuse me, like the conversation we had this weekend about the makeup, that was just out the blue. She didn't know that was coming. So that that frustration and tone you heard from her, that was real. That wasn't no acting behind it. That was real. You know what I mean? But that's the kind of conversations we have, and it's helped us to better our communication with each other, especially when you start getting feedback from other people. I've had some friends of mine like, hey man, I'm going through that same thing. Hey man, I appreciate you, being so transparent. He said, because I never knew you was going through something like that, or y'all don't seem like the type of couple that have that type of conversation, when really almost every couple have that type of conversation. everybody just don't share it. Everybody's not on Facebook. You know, shooting. I don't want to say what's the word? Well, shooting shots at each other. You know how sometimes you got the wife will shoot a subliminal shot at the husband, and then he comment, and then it starts going back and forth. We don't do that. But for us, it's almost been like a couples therapy session.
Yeah.
Because there's been some stuff that I have shared with her that I didn't plan on sharing with everybody, but it's kind of the way the conversation flowed that she didn't know about me, or after we had so much dialogue, she understood, how I was feeling or what I was going through.
Yeah. And I think that's important. It's one of the dope parts about like podcasting is that people get on here and they talk from their own personal experience, and then we start to understand that we're not as different as we think we are. Like most of us have shared a lot of similar experiences, similar backgrounds, similar struggles, and you're not alone in most of these things. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for doing that, like sharing some of your marriage with us, so that we understand that these struggles in relationships, or these issues, or these things that you may or may not know about your partner, like it's universal. You're not alone. You're not the only people
Yeah,
dealing with that thing.
yeah.
Staying on family real quick. It's my understanding, you correct me if I'm wrong, that you are, I don't want, for some reason, the
I'm a
term
stepdad.
stepfather. Yeah, the term stepdad. Like I feel bad for stepdads being called a stepdad. I feel like if there's anybody on the planet that got a better term for it, it's probably you. Do you have a euphemism for stepfather or stepchild, like the whole step situation?
Well, first of all, you got to understand, they call me Mr. Willie. So, every now and then I get called stepfather, or I get called the name I got is Pops.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But other than that, I am Mr. Mister from the color purple, Mr. No, I don't. I honestly, I really feel like it's up to the child and maybe the mother or the father. Some dads don't want their child calling another man father or dad.
Yeah.
You call them by their names, which I think is kind of odd, but I get it. But at the same time, if you got somebody calling you, Jared, it's like how can you build some type of relationship off that? Because they calling you Mr. Jared. You know what I mean? So it's awkward, but it takes time to get used to it. But I also just feel like I think it's up to the child. The child feels like your dad, then they'll call you dad. But if they just used to just calling you Mr. Whoever, then it is too. But it should be a dialogue, but at the same time, it should be up to the child.
I got you. Yeah, it's been a struggle for me. We've talked about it. I know when I first found out about my ex-wife and her new relationship, and she's now remarried. That was definitely a concern in my head. Like, all right, this is cool. She lived with him, all that. She better not be calling him daddy. And and she would come over here, and she still does it now. She comes here, and she'll mistakenly call me his name. And so at first it was like, man, I know if she's messing up and calling me his name, that means she go home and she call him daddy sometime. And I had to it's an ego thing. Like, it's nothing wrong with her calling him daddy. Like, he's filling the role on a day-to-day basis, whereas I'm not. I am her father, and I feel like dad is more of a term of endearment. Like, father is just like a position you hold. Dad is a little something special, a pop. I think sometimes she calls me her old man. I like that one. But the whole dad thing, like, yeah, he is, being the dad. I've had to get over that. And just like, that's my ego. Like, me not wanting that is just my ego, and that's gonna put her in a weird space, because she's gonna feel like she can't, be as close to him as she needs to, because her father has a problem with it.
Do you remember the episode I did? I think it was the blending episode. It was a while back, and I had did some research about the title father and the title dad. And what I remember was, say, like, they have the father, which is the biological father, your birth, biological parent, and then there's dad, which would be another name for a stepfather.
Okay,
Dad is actually another name for a stepfather.
gotcha.
And then you have father, but it's also like, it's also like a role thing, because you can have a father, but he acts like a dad.
Yeah,
He's around sometimes. You don't really know too much about him, type thing. So it kind of plays both ways. So initially you are Chef Elise's father, and then her stepdad is her dad.
heard that. I got you. See, that's why I appreciate you, Willie, because I know you go on you go down these rabbit holes. I don't know what prompted you to do that research, but if
I
there's
think
ever a topic I need research, or I need to see if somebody knows something about it, is you.
I think maybe it wasn't the blended. Maybe it was the whole Father's Day and Mother's Day. I think that's what it was, because I was like, I want to know what is Father's Day. What is Mother's Day, and then, like, it's just another made up holiday.
Yeah.
It initially it was made for a reason. It was for remembrance, and then somehow it got roped into consumers buying stuff. so now like every holiday, it has to do with money now, not the significant reason.
But they haven't done a good job of transitioning this one into consumerism, because Father's Day gifts is the most bullshit gifts in
Yeah.
the history of any holiday.
Yeah.
Man, so staying on this topic, I wanted to ask you, because we on opposite sides of this whole thing. I'm the biological father having to deal with a situation where my child has a stepdad, and us trying to forge that relationship. Sometimes I think a lot of times I think it's cool. Like, we go to soccer games, and my daughter's always has the biggest cheering section, because she got two dads, and I've seen other kids like marvel at that, like when they have met him already, and then they meet me and they're like, oh, you got two dads. I think that's kind of cool. But for you, on your side of the fence, what what are some things you think, like, biological fathers could do uh, to foster a more healthy situation in a blended family like that?
Have an open conversation. Like you said before, you're not looking for a friend, but you want to know who this guy is or who she is. So let's have an open conversation. Let's all be on the same level. Let's all let's talk about it. And I don't, a lot of men that's in that situation don't want to do that. A lot of men's ego and pride gets in the way of that.
Yeah.
Even though they're not, excuse me, they're not. I got drainage real bad, man. Even though they're not together, the father and the mom, there's still like some type of control. Like, nah, you can't do that. Okay, first of all, we not together, and you don't live here.
Yeah.
So it's some type of control that I don't understand. But I've had to deal with that as well. It was, in the beginning, it was real rocky.
Yeah.
And as a stepdad, I also had to know my position.
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle. I know, like you said, like, especially coming from the situation when I was in, where it's my ex-wife. We were married, and we had that child, inside the marriage. And there was a period of time where I was the everyday waking up. I cared for her mother while she was pregnant. You know, I was there every day waking up. Being dad, and then that kind of you lose that, and then here comes this new person in there stepping in and doing what you may feel is your job. And there's a lot of ego in there, and letting that go and understanding, circumstances have changed. This is what it is. This is what the new roles are. You don't have control over the situation, and trying to assert some type of control over something that you can't control is just messing it up. And just like I said, I had the opportunity to see my daughter in one of them situations where I could see how the uneasiness in her, with dealing with the two of us if we weren't on the same page, and if we weren't, if she didn't understand that I was cool with him and he's okay, and it's all right to, it's all right to love him, it's all right to respect him. I need you to do that, and luckily I was able to see it firsthand, so that changed some things for me. But
I used to do like some more petty shit, like
my brother,
like like he would come like pick the kids up, and I would take the trash out, but I would have like #1 stepdad shirt.
Oh man. I'm learning about you, Willie. I'm learning.
My pettiness goes deep, brother. It goes deep.
I think we have that in common, and there've been some times where I'm like, man, I need Willie to get on this petty train with me. Like, just let me. I think the other day I was getting ready to complain about something, and you did what you do, which I appreciate. Like you brought it back to the positivity. You was like, well, this is another way to look at it. And I was like, hey, yeah, you're right. But damn it, I sure did want to go on this rant real quick.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I brewed with that for 2 days, brother. Trust me. For 2 days, yeah.
All right, but let's talk about. Oh, go ahead.
I want to ask you a quick question, if you don't mind.
Oh, yes, sir.
So, I know like one of the things that we had an issue with, me being a stepfather, which I understood, was the discipline part. So how did you and your ex-wife and the new dad handle the discipline of Chef Elise? Because like I know, like with my wife, she's the hierarchy when it comes to the kids.
Yeah.
So basically I'm the vice principal and she's the principal. You know what I'm saying? So I can't touch the kids. They're not my kids.
Yeah.
So it was either you get it was verbally, or I'm gonna just take your shit. I'm gonna take your TV. I'm gonna take your door off the hinges. You get a peanut butter sandwich and that's it. And you gotta make it work for the next 24 hours.
Yeah. I don't know. It's never been a conversation. I've witnessed some things or heard some things that not always I agree with, but in a lot of ways, like I'm very much like a dude's dude. Like I'm a man's man, and and I respect, like, that's your house, that's your household. You the king of that. Unless something happens where, until something happens that I feel like is out of line and I got to step in, and then like you said, it should be a conversation. Then I'd have that conversation with her. But outside of that, it's like, that's your house. You got to run it the way you see fit. Unless I feel like my child is in harm's way or something like that, I'm gonna stay out of it. And then I don't ever want to create a situation where, like, she can play one of us against the other. I don't ever want it to be I don't like what my stepdad did, I'm gonna go run to daddy. Because I had an aunt when I was growing up. My aunt is like 19 years older than my mom, and they were kind of like at odds with how I should be parented. And my aunt, and I love my aunt to death, so there's no diss to my aunt if anybody hears this. I think I did a whole episode about her. She was like my best friend growing up. But there would be times where she would kind of come in, and some of the things she did were undermining my mom's authority. And I can remember saying to my mom once, I can't wait till Anale gets here so you can be in trouble. And it's like, you know, and that created a rift between them as sisters, you know, that made it more difficult for my mom, you know, to discipline me. And so I think about that, you know, when those situations come up, that I don't want to create that for my daughter. I don't want to create that distance between, you know, my ex-wife and I, between him and I, because we need to do this thing together, you know. And anytime I try to create some sort of opposition between the two of us, when it's not necessary, if a situation comes up and it's necessary, then you know we do it. But you cross that bridge when you get there. You don't start anticipating,
Right.
you know, what's going to happen, and then
Right.
now you acting on a future that don't exist. You know, if it ever gets there, then you know we'll have that conversation. But so far, he's a good dude. I don't think I agree with all of his parenting techniques, but again, that's his house. So I feel like you run it the way you see fit. As long as my little girl's not in danger, it is what it is.
Right.
I got it's some of the L's that you got to take. You know, they say stuff like it's cheaper to keep her. Facts in a lot of ways, not
In more than
just
one way.
financially.
Yeah.
Not just financially.
Yeah.
But I want to get on something light. Let's talk some music, right?
Okay.
So I know you heard my comments about E40, and then you played some E40. I came into the lobby of the session we had. We were recording the episode, and it was E40 playing, and I'm like, man, what is going on here? Am I in the right place? Like, what is happening? And I gotta say, like, that whole thing caused me to do some introspection.
Okay.
Because I know you as this, extremely positive guy. And I know that takes work, that none of us are like that 24 hours a day. I think you talked about that on your episode the other day. Somebody caught you on the wrong day at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And they didn't get all that positive, peace, my brother. They didn't get all that day.
Right.
But, and I know it's frequently like it's a choice to find the positivity in a situation, rather because the negative is usually very apparent. But I say all that to say that, like, hearing you listen to E40, we had a conversation about hip hop, knowing where you from. Like, I found myself like questioning my outlook on hip hop because I wasn't sure why it surprised me that like you listen to E40 or rap in general. Like I said, being like where you from and the time you grew up is damn near a given that you listen to rap music. But for some reason, you being such a positive dude, like I was like, oh, no, that he don't listen to rap. And then it was like, well, why do I think that somehow hip hop is inherently a negative thing? Like you can't be a positive person and like rap music at the same time. So I wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel about hip hop then and now, and like being able to maintain your outlook on life and the way you treat people with some of the content in the music that we hold so dear?
That's a good question.
Appreciate
Real
you.
good question. That's a real good question. Yeah.
It took me a while to get there.
It's a big, for me, it's a big difference, but I also get it because, like, when I was growing up, my mom didn't understand why she understood it, but at the same time, when you blasting Too Short and Spice One.
Yeah. See, like you listening to Too Short, it just like I'm short circuiting right now. Like Willie don't listen to Too Short. It ain't no way.
But it was the vulgar language though back then.
Yeah.
Because that was like a really big deal with the whole parental advisory tag on the album cover.
Yeah.
That was a really big deal. But the fast forward to today's, I don't understand it either. I don't, the same way my mom and dad didn't understand why I was listening to Warren G's Regulate, G-Funk era. It's the same way that I don't get a lot of some of these newer artists. It's just not for me. I have a hard time trying to understand what the hell Migos is saying. And I listen to E40 who raps fast. but I just don't. It takes me a while, to really hear what they're saying, and then sometimes I still don't understand what they're saying. Once I figure out what they're saying, I still don't know what they're saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the point? I don't know. Like I said, I won't give up my '90s hip hop. I can't. I can't give it up. I listen to Digital Underground at least twice a week in the mornings before I go to work.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Digital Underground. You trying to take me back. But I know we had a conversation on a show we were on together recently. And was it that? I don't know if it was that. No, I think it was it was yesterday or the other day. I'm dating this episode, but it is what it is. We were talking about the Killer Mike album. And
Oh yeah,
and
that was last night.
yeah. And how just through gratuitous use of the N-word kind of like turned you off from the music. Yeah, like I said, like knowing you the way I know you, I get that. I get that. I guess for me, because a lot of people would look at that Killer Mike album and like he's touching on social issues and things that are happening in our community. And if you listen to him speak, he's an activist in certain ways and pushing for kind of things. But I know that use of the word kind of turned you off. And then I hear you listen to Too Short, and it's like I know what Too Short favorite word is. And I've been on the show with you where that came up, what's that conversation like in your mind in terms of like, the music and like you said, the language and how these things are being portrayed these days?
It's the separation of being artistic and reality. I mean, I love my UGK. I love my A-Ball MJG, but I'm not out here trying to pimp. And I'm not out here, trying to sell yayo either. I know the difference between. I understand the difference between reality and the art side of the words. You know what I mean? Excuse me. I remember like when Kendrick Lamar's last three albums was like really conscious. Yeah. The last one, a lot of people didn't like it. I loved it because that's where I was at mentally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? J. Cole's last conscious album. People loved it. This is the best one. And I was like, it's all right. The only reason I said that is because I was already past that. For me, I was past that moment. That was meant for somebody else. That wasn't meant for me. The last Kendrick Lamar album, that was meant for me. That wasn't meant for J. Dot. The Killer Mike, what's it called? What's it called? It's called Michael, yeah. That album, some of it is for me, all of it is not for me. It's for he's trying to reach a different audience. A younger audience than me and you.
Yeah.
And then maybe some people our age as well. So I get the tactic that he was using. I get it because you have to you got to talk. This generation, you have to talk their language in order for them to hear you.
Yeah.
So I get it. I wasn't mad or disappointed. I just felt like maybe 20. Yeah, it just wasn't for me, Now I may go back. I'm gonna finish the album, but at the moment when I listened to it, I was like, yeah, at 4:00 in the morning, this is not. Cause I know what he's been doing in the community, in the black community. So when I pressed play, I was like, yeah, this ain't what I had expected from him.
Gosh.
But I get it. You know what I'm saying? So I turned it off and throw on some OJs. Just to I'm already angry as it is. So I didn't need more gasoline added to the fire, but I get it. I definitely I get it.
I can see how listening to that Killer Mike album and then one of them white people touch you unnecessarily, that could go wrong
It can go wrong. It can go left very fast. Yeah.
very fast, very fast. But I like that perspective because I struggle with that because what I heard when you were talking was, just because something isn't for you or it don't suit your taste or it don't suit where you are at the time doesn't mean you don't think it has a right to exist. It's just not for you. Like you understand it. You understand the audience it may be geared toward. That's not you. Cool. Y'all enjoy it. I'ma move on and listen to the OJ. I a lot of times in a different space. I'm like, I don't like this. This ain't art. Therefore, it should not exist. I want this never. I want this gone.
It's
And I'm gonna
gone.
fight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna argue with every person I meet about why this should not exist, and these artists need to be out the industry forever. But I need to come around to your way of thinking, Willie. I'm trying to grow up and be like you one day. I'm a
I
work
tell
in
you,
progress.
I tell you another one he's really good, and I followed his transition. I haven't got to follow him lately. Is David Banner?
Yeah.
It's really good. A lot of what he's doing is really good, and I like his last couple albums that he did. I understood it because he was reaching for a particular audience
Yeah.
to
I think
to get them to listen.
one of the dopest things for me in this whole like hip hop journey and being as old as I am and knowing where I was then and where I am now, it's like watching like hip hop grow up. Like I think when we were younger, it was a young people's thing. Like old people or not old people because I'm not old. I am old, but older people, didn't identify with it, couldn't relate to it. It wasn't their thing. It was just strictly a young person's thing. And then now to see where we are now, where young people have their version of it, and us, us older folks get to have the music that we relate to. Like I was with you on the Kendrick album, and it was weird seeing so many people react negatively about it, and it's like you can't relate. You're not there yet. Give it 10 years and play that album again, and then it might hit you a little different.
Some people are still stuck on what was the first one? Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah.
Some people are still stuck on that, and damn, they didn't. If you actually sit back and look at his discography, you can see the growth.
Yeah.
As a man and as an artist, you've seen the growth from the time I'm using my air quotes, woke, or matured as a man and as a father and a husband to the last album.
Yeah.
So you can see it, and I think some people are just stuck on damn, and they don't want they don't want to let that go. Which is it's a classic album. It was dope.
The fact that it's a concept album, and you could read it differently if you play the tracks in a different order, is it's I don't know if anybody. I'm sure somebody else has done it, but from my frame of reference, it's like I don't know if anybody else has pulled anything off like that before. But I gotta ask you this because we're having a hip hop conversation.
Okay.
Do you have a top 5?
I knew you was gonna ask me this, and I should have had it ready. I knew you was gonna ask me this. I had a feeling. I envisioned this. I do have a top 5, but I don't have it top 5 in a particular order. But I can give you 5.
All right.
Okay. Pac, E40,
Man.
Scarface,
Okay.
Jay-Z, but it has to be American Gangster and 444 Jay-Z.
Okay.
2 different Jay-Z's.
Yeah.
And Nas.
Okay. I want to say that's a respectable top 5, but you put E40 in there, so I'm like, I don't know. But I mean, I agree with a lot of those. Most of them probably wouldn't be in my top five. I'll probably go in no order. Jay, Biggie. Um, I'm a big fan of Royce the 5'9" these days.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay, for me, I've enjoyed watching his progression the same way you talk about Kendrick. Like
Right.
seeing from Reasonable Doubt to 444, like that's an amazing transition. And to still be like lyrically relevant throughout
Mm-hmm.
all of those time periods means something to me. But what I said Jay, Biggie, Royce, and Royce a lot because he deals with substance abuse issues, and so that's a topic near and dear to my heart. Uh, I want to say Nas. Yeah, I'll say Nas for today. It'll change tomorrow. And man, who would I throw in there as a fifth man? I might give it to Cole right now. When Cole raps, when he
Okay.
chooses to rap,
Mm-hmm.
it bothers me because I feel like he treats rap like the side job. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
trying to do everything but rap. You want to sing, you want to do these other things. Like that's cool, but you one of the elite top 10 lyricists in the game right now. I would really appreciate it. It would make
Mm-hmm.
me feel better if you just rap. I just want to hear you. I just want bars. Just
Yeah.
give me bars.
I agree with you on that because it's times I have to come back to his stuff after a while because it's like, I wasn't feeling it. I don't feel like he was really putting his all to it when he was over in was it Africa? Where was he at playing basketball?
Oh man, yeah, I think it was Africa. I think you're right.
Yeah, when he did that album, I was like, I don't like this. Like it just, I didn't. It started off, and then it was like, yeah, they must have had back to back games when he did this track because I don't like this one at all. But the reason my top five is because if you can cut an album on and listen to it with no skips,
Yeah.
that's a fire album to me. And the five that I gave you, I can just press play. I can just press play. Like if I got them on my iPod, I just press play and just let it go.
On the strength of who you are, Willie, I'm gonna give E40 another shot. I'm gonna give it another shot. Recommend the album. If I'm gonna play one E40 album, what would it be?
A Major Way.
A Major Way. All right.
A Major
I'm gonna do
Way.
it. And I'm
Yeah,
gonna talk
A
about it
Major
on
Way.
this podcast. I'm gonna listen to the album. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna go in there with an open heart, open mind, all that good stuff. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it a college
Look,
try.
you gotta understand. I'm in the Midwest, so like where I'm at right now. Down south is heavy, but down south wasn't always down south when I was growing up. Not down south wasn't really down south until P and Outkast really, really put it on, and then Big Timers, Cash Money.
Yeah.
But other than that, we talking about Dangerous Crew. Do you even know who's in the? Have you even heard of Dangerous Crew?
No, sir. No,
Have you
sir.
even heard of Ant Banks?
No, sir.
So you don't know about Pee Wee on the keys?
Whew, man. No. I feel attacked right now, but no, I don't.
No. I'm just asking because see that I'm talking about Dangerous Crew. So I'm talking about a whole bunch of West Coast rappers. Dangerous Crew, Too Short, Spice One, Ant Banks, Mac Dre. Mac Dre's discography, I think dude has 32 albums. Legit 32 albums. Yeah, I said I think he's up there, and then I think E40 is behind him. Like I said, Dangerous Crew, which is not Too Short, is included with that. But yeah, E40 in the Click, Mac Dre, Mac Mall, which like that whole that it's a lot. Have you heard of Mac Dre?
I heard him referencing a Drake song once.
Okay. So Mac Mile, you never heard of Mac
Nah,
Mile.
never heard of
What
Mac Mile.
about what about Pimp and Ron C?
No, so if Pimp is in the name of your group or song, I probably wasn't going. I probably wasn't going to give it a spin. I was very much like a raucous, Most Def, Talib,
Mm-hmm.
Pharoah Monch, like Common. I was in my backpacker phase for a minute. It was Biggie and Jay-Z and Wu-Tang
Mm-hmm.
and all of them for a while, and then
Mm-hmm.
I really got into like my conscious space. And so all you had to do was be named Pimp something or something Thug. I ain't even give Nipsey Hussle a real
I
listen at
heard you.
first.
I heard you say that. I heard you
Yeah.
say that. Yeah.
It had to be. Other people had to vouch for him, and then
Mm-hmm.
I heard him on the song with Jay-Z, and I'm like, oh, this is not what I thought. Let me go check dude out.
Right.
But yeah, I tuned
I
out a lot of stuff.
but I get it. I get it. I mean, being from where you're from, DMV, I get it. And I think Andre 3000 had the best. He explained it the best. He was like, when you go to a lot of big cities, they got these big tall buildings, so the music sounds different. The visual art is different. He said when you come down south, you got these big fields and everything just hits different. The visual's different. It's kind of slowed down a little bit when the city everything's fast.
Yeah,
So I get it. I get it. I mean, I there is some artists up east that I do appreciate their work. But other than that, you're gonna find me down south or you're gonna find me on the West Coast.
yeah. Man, one of these days, like I don't know, I might have to make a trip out there because I just got to see you in a space where you like playing E40 or Mac Dre or whatever, Pimp. I forget what you said already. Like it's already out of my mind, but I got to see Willie in that space. I can't picture it for some reason.
Rap and rhyme.
Rapping
Rap and
around.
rhyme. Pimping, rap and rhyme. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Look
All
hey,
right.
look up rap and rhyme pimping lyrics. It's like a 9-minute song.
Oh Lord. Okay. Rapping around, pimping lyrics. Okay. All right. I feel like what that's going to do to my algorithm, I'm not going to like. Like YouTube is going to see me look up rapping wrong one
Oh
time,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna get flooded.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna have like some conscious daughters and West Side Connection pop up in your algorithm. Yeah.
I'm gonna do it for research purposes. I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole. With it.
All right.
But I gotta ask you this before we get out of here.
All right.
I know when I was on your show, we talked about like Juneteenth and the 4th and everything, and like you wanting people to keep the same energy. I know you don't necessarily celebrate the 4th, like like it's a big deal or anything like that. But are you putting anything on the grill anyway, just because?
This morning before Fiona left to go to church, I told her if you and the kids are looking for like something grilled to eat, there is 10 already cooked bratwursts in the freezer.
There we go.
The answer to that is no. I am not firing up the grill at all. No,
At all.
no, and plus I got to work the next day, so no, I'm not.
I'm actually starting a new job the next day, so I don't normally do anything for it either. My mother is extremely patriotic. I think I talked about it in one of my episodes. I was up there, I think last year, with her, my aunt before she passed, and my uncle. And my mother's like 70, and she's the youngest. And I think the other two are like 80 and 90. And like hearing them as Black people who've been extremely patriotic, and just like hearing how disappointed and upset they were with like the state of things right now, and how they feel things have regressed. Um, it was really a sobering moment. My mother growing up on the 4th of July, we went to see fireworks. She would read the Declaration of Independence. You know,
Mm,
my mom was one of the few people I know who knows all the verses to the national anthem. She
mm,
knows all the verses to the national. Like she's a big patriotic person. She's one of them folks like, well, if you don't like it in the U.S., no, go somewhere else and try to be black. Go to any other country and try to be black and see if you don't come running back to the United States. But she's very like I watched those three individuals like sound heartbroken, over the state of things in this country right now. Like, what's your feelings on it? People our age, and I know you got older parents that have probably seen some things. Like my mom can tell you stories about, segregation and not being able to stop to get something to eat on the drive from DC to South Carolina because they weren't safe places for black people to do that. And that's my mother. A lot of people view these things as like ancient history, and it's not. Like I only have to go back one generation. My mother can tell me some things. For you and your perspective on what you've seen and where things are now, like how do you feel about the way the country is moving?
It's in shambles. I don't really have a lot of confidence in our society right now. This the stuff that I'm seeing every day. I don't have a lot of confidence. We spoke about the Supreme Court ruling with the
affirmative action.
thank you, with the affirmative action thing, and one of the judges is black, which he's been on there for 32 years. So, a lot of people tell you that there's no racism. A lot of people is going to tell you that there is definitely racism. There is definitely racism. I don't care what nobody, there is racism, but there's also a very high percentage of ignorance.
Yeah.
That does not include racism. We're just talking about this ignorance. A lot of people don't really care if it doesn't affect them. And that's where we're at right now. A lot of people don't care. Unless somebody gets killed in your family or somebody then the world has to burn. But if it's a stranger, it's a meme. Or no, it's tomorrow's joke. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people they don't care. And that's why I don't have a lot of confidence in our society right now. It's sad. When I tell you I kind of went on my rant in the parking lot with my microwave, it was, I mean, I was having a moment, but at the same time, it was like I was having this visual of it.
Yeah.
We try to do like a positive space thing, and you want us black people to be comfortable around each other, embrace each other. Hey brother, what's going on? Just a simple hi instead of just me mugging them or staring them.
Yeah.
But when you got people who damn near runs you over a parking space, it's not really a lot of doesn't leave you with a lot of hope in mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's sad. It's sad when you actually see it. You hear about it, but when you actually see it and you witness the stuff, it's sad.
But no, I definitely appreciate you for like I was saying, for being the change in the world that you want to see. The world that I don't hear you, very often complaining about what it is that other people do. It's more about this is what I do and this is why I do it, and this is what I want to see. So this is who I'm going to be, and that's a lot of the reason why I'm trying to do this series. It's like, let me highlight people I feel like are moving a certain way and are operating a certain way. And the last question I want to ask you is, I ask everybody this, for you, I know you do it selflessly. Like you do it because, that's who you are and that's how you believe, you should carry yourself, and that's what the energy you want to put out into the world. But what do you think are some of the benefits of you operating that way, of you treating people that way? Are there any things you can point out in particular that you think have happened, or things that have come back to you because you could put that kind of energy out in the world? I just want people to understand that like there is a benefit to treating people a certain way, and it always seems apparent when people are screwing people over what they get, but when people are are treating people with respect and showing love and appreciation to other individuals, it's not always openly apparent. Like, what do you get back from that?
Well, I don't know because I don't look for nothing.
Yeah,
I don't. I don't. I don't. A lot of the stuff that I do, I'm doing it because I'm improving myself.
yeah,
I'm trying to be a better person. So in that sense, when you're a better person, the people around you are going to be better. I want J Dot to be better. I want J Dot to succeed. So let me share his podcast. Let me share his show because I think it's dope. You know, let me share this show. Let me you on TikTok? Here, let me repost this for you. I got you. I don't ask or you don't ask me. I just do it. It doesn't take it doesn't take any energy to be selfless.
yeah,
And the same thing with being kind. You know, you see somebody that needs help. If you can help them, help them. Now, there's times where I see people, I'm like, hey, you made that choice, so now you got you got to figure that out. You know what I mean? But that's part of life too. And I'm sure I'm one of those people that if I make a choice, I have to understand the consequence,
yeah,
whether it's positive or negative. But out of the negative, you also have to learn something. You have to learn something out of the negative. I mean, that's why we have winners and losers in sports. In sports, the losers are going to go back and try to figure out how can I beat this team the
yeah.
next night. So at some point, we have to take accountability for ourselves and our actions, our voice, and our choices. We got to.
No, I appreciate that. Well said. I think people need to hear that. But I just want you to know, you have definitely been a part, of my growth over these. We haven't known each other that long, but it feels like it's been, way longer. But
We've
you
done
helped.
we've done 3 shows this week. Like
Yeah,
we've done 3 shows this week, like a day apart on each
yeah,
on each show. Yeah.
yeah. I've talked to you more than I've talked to a lot of people this week. But now you've definitely been, like I said, a part of my growth. A part of the expansion of my network. The way the show is moving right now, I can definitely attribute, to a lot of things you've done. Like you said, sharing the show, sharing the TikTok, and then just keeping me going sometimes. Just a kind word, a nice comment, the conversations we have in the group chat. It all means a lot. And so I just wanted to make sure, that I let you know that, and I let the people know that good folks do exist, and they do things, because it's the right thing to do, not because they're looking for something in return. And so, I appreciate you for that, and I salute you for that, sir. But before we get out of here, if people are looking for your brand of positivity and for the dope relationship conversations or whatever else you might have going on, tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, you can find me on Spotify. I'm on Good Pods. Look us up on Twitter, Instagram, Google, whatever. We there. Like I said, it's the Thing About Us podcast that I host with my wife, my queen, my rib. Sometimes a headache. She I know she's gonna hear this episode, so I'm gonna go ahead and choose violence now. Fiona and yeah, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate the invite. I'm proud of you, your growth.
Appreciate that.
I have noticed your growth. Just you're gonna always be dope in my book, and I do I am. I'm really proud of you, man.
I appreciate
For
that,
real.
man. That means a lot.
Yeah.
And I want to say to Fee before we get out of here, I heard the episode and I appreciate you. My mom was a teacher, and she struggles with figuring out the words to respond to stuff. But thank you for giving me what the appropriate response was to that Father's Day greeting. Those were the exact words I was looking for. I couldn't find them. So shout out to you and all educators out there. But I appreciate you listening and sending back that sage advice. It's in my phone right now as a note. So next year I know exactly how to shoot that text back.
Right.
But with that being said, we're gonna get out of here. For you all listening, if you made it this far, you the real MVP, and I do appreciate you. Make sure you check out, Willie's show, The Thing About Us, on all major streaming platforms. It's a dope time. Hit up the whatistws.com merch store. Get you some shirts. Like I said, I got the Be the Light shirt. I got the Don't Thank Me, Thank God shirt. I got a lot of, I think they dope. You probably might think they dope too. And then you can help me take Sheffy Leach to Disneyland or something like that. So hit up the whatistws.com/store. Get you some merch. It's all dope stuff. But until we speak again, y'all be safe, be easy, be the light. And know this, if you know nothing else, I guess E40 is a rapper, and some people consider him dope. And I'm going to give it a shot, but we're going to find out. But regardless of all that, I love you. And we out of here. Holla.
Last call for alcohol. Yeah. If this is it, like if this is the last joint, if this is the last hurrah, it's the last call for alcohol, baby. I gotta say, whether you knew it or not, it's pretty much at the finest bar establishment, the finest spirits and libations y'all could have had, baby. You might realize it now, you might have realized it back then. You might realize it later.
Love.